Good evening. How are you doing? It's been a wonderful weekend for me. Hope it has been the same for you. Today we are back with another very interesting discussion to do with the advent of AI, artificial intelligence, and all the different array of browser-based apps, standalone apps, and so many other things that are coming out, which have the capability of giving us more and more information, aided by artificial intelligence. So today's discussion is to do with whether these new age AI. Actually, AI is not actually new age. It has been with us since we invented the computers. Computer itself is an artificial intelligence, wherein we gave it all the prompts, we fed it with all the programs and the programming languages, and we gave it a whole amount of data so that it could compute it and then give us legible data which could be understood. So in some form or the other, we have been dealing with artificial intelligence since the advent of computers. So this is nothing new. So what is this ChatGPT? What is this NLP? And what are these new independent AI-based models which everyone is going crazy about? If you look at the amount of interest that is being shown to ChatGPT, I have a very interesting graph here which I will share in a minute. The ChatGPT usage increased to 5 million or to 1 million active users within 5 days. Compare that to when Instagram was launched or when Spotify was launched. It took Instagram almost a week, and it took Spotify 75 days to gain that much of a subscriber base. So you can see that the interest of people in this ChatGPT is immense, and it is a massive disruptor of many industries, especially Google search as we know it is going to change drastically. If people still remember Microsoft Bing, and if people still use it, Microsoft is going to come back with a bang with it getting enabled with ChatGPT bolstered features and all that. So it's going to be a very interesting year with respect to AI changing our lives. So let's see how it's going to pan out. But first, let's try to understand what is the need for this continuous change. As you know, the most famous quote, it says that the only constant is change. The only constant is change, and this is attributed to many people, but the first person who said it is Lord Krishna in the Mahabharata. So he tells Arjuna that everything keeps changing, okay? And you need to change according to the circumstances. You cannot be left behind in the past and just keep sitting there ruing about what could be and what if. You need to keep changing in the circumstances, because the only constant is change. Everything keeps changing. Nothing in the whole universe, leave alone this small tiny speck called Earth in the universe, nothing in the universe is constant. Everything keeps expanding, contracting. There's a whole lot of change happening. So this is a very small amount of change that is happening in one corner of the universe, in one corner of the galaxy called Milky Way on Earth. But still, since we are here, we need to know about it. So let's try to understand this whole change concept. So why does change happen? Because we would want to make our lives much more easier. So initially during the caveman stage, there was no language, there was no organized or structured language, there was no written script. Okay, people used to make sounds. I mean, we don't know, but logically, if you go in a regressive way, if you try to think about it, going back, this is how it could have happened. So how would this happen? First, people came up with sounds during the caveman stage, and then they used to see so many different things, animals, places, so many different things happening, plants and all that. So now they had to communicate what they saw with each other. So they came up with the drawings, the cave sketchings, and in some cases use of natural colors to try to interpret what they saw in a logical way. So first it started with the cave drawings, and then the sounds that they used to describe these things to others or within their own community. These sounds evolved into words. Now these words, I cannot keep on using these images or these sketches or these cave drawings to convey something that I want to tell somebody else who is from another area. So now language or the written word or the script came into existence. So and then fast forward, because a lot of things happened in between. Civilization happened, societal structures happened, the greatest innovation of humankind, agriculture happened, and then the biggest invention, the wheel happened, and so many things happened, and also many bad things happened at this same time. So but we are going to stick to the evolution of communication, evolution of language, and evolution of writing. So, and then things were the same for a very long period of time. Only a few people had access to writing and the writing tools. It was not generally available to the common man or to the common person. So now the people who held the information, who held the so-called knowledge, became corrupted, and they became egoistic, and they became proud, and because they had information, and information is and will be powerful. Whoever has information is going to rule the world. So with this information, they kept the common people subdued. But all this changed. Well, I'll come to the Indian context later, but I am talking with what happened in the Western context. I am making it very simple. People may say that he is not giving importance to a lot of things, but I am keeping it very simple because we need to understand in a simple manner, and then we will go into the complexities of it. Okay, so everything stayed sort of static, nothing changed. Okay, and since I said earlier, change, the only constant is change. But if there is nothing changing, and if everything seems to be same, constant, or unchanging, it leads to decay. Simple. If you are just sitting at a place and doing nothing, eating, and then rejecting, and then eating again, you're not doing anything. The only change that is happening is in your weight, and you will just die. So when there is no change happening, the whole concept of knowledge dissemination was in the hands of a few people, and the society and the humanity as it was slowly dying, and people were in the dark ages. So then came the Gutenberg press, where for the first time a person came up with a mechanical way of printing out The first book that he printed was the Bible. Okay, so even Bible was not easily available to the general masses. Either it was with the priests or with the high officials of the church, and the common man didn't have access to the Bible. So Gutenberg changed all that. He came up with the mechanical press, and the Bible got printed and it got distributed to a lot of people. And now they had access to the information, age-old information that was part of the Bible, and knowledge spread. And with knowledge, intelligence increased, and everything was good. And then let's again fast forward to the advent of another form of communication called the visual communication in the form of photography. Okay, in one vertical, the written communication was constantly changing. In the other vertical, the visual communication was constantly changing. First, it was still photography. If you have heard of the thing called daguerreotype, where the whole film, how they would develop the film from the negative into the image was all different. It was a whole big process. But then things evolved, things changed, and then photography came into picture. Then moving images, which led to the advent of the film industry and the movies. First, there was no audio. Then first it was written, visual, and then the auditory. Auditory communication actually was coming along in pace with the written communication. Not exactly auditory, but if you would take, maybe I can give telegram as an example, but telegram again has nothing to do with sound, it has to do with the signals. But if you would look at the voice signals, or the hooting, or the ululating of that you see in various tribes even now. So that is also a form of communication. Yodeling that you see in the Alps, that's also a form of communication. Singing, that's also a form of communication. So all these forms of communication came, and they were all developing, but in divergent paths. Okay, film brought everything together. The movies brought everything together, but not the written part. They brought the visual and the auditory together, and they created the movies. The visual and the auditory experience was available to the masses to be seen, and then it increased. Now we have computers, we have TVs, everything. We are in the comfort of the house. Everything gets streamed onto the television, or onto the laptop, or even onto the phone, the tablet, or anything. Okay, so with all this, the amount of data that was getting generated was immense, was humongous, was like a whole lot of data was getting generated, and this data is actually information. And like I said earlier, whoever owns the information will rule the world. So there came such a stage where this information became, or was made to become, the sole property of a few big corporations. It was done with the intention. It was done with a good intention. Everything starts with a good intention, because humans are basically good. There is no evil to start with it. But then when a person or a group of people get access to so much of power, which is data is information, information is power, it would change their thinking. From the altruistic thinking that they have, they would change to a little bit of selfish thinking, greed, because now they have so much of data, which is finally it is money, right? So they can sell this data, they can sell this information and make a whole lot of money. So all this information, all this data sets, this information became not the sole property, but it was made in a very clever way to be only with a few corporations. So the first disruption that came to disrupt this hegemony or monopoly over information came with the advent of the internet. Okay, if you remember, I think my first tryst with internet, or my first use with the internet, was in the year 1998. That's when I think I created, or was it close to 99? That's when I created my first email address, and I think it was with AOL, or if I'm not mistaken, it was Yahoo. So one of those things. So with the internet, what happened is the people now had access at their fingertips. If now they would need to put in something as a query or a question into the search bar, and they would get the answer. But the answers that they would get was very less, and it used to take some time. Okay, if you remember those dial-in modems and that very annoying dialing sound, AOL, Netscape, Navigator, and all those things. Okay, we have, and that is just in 2000, and we are in 2023. In 23 years from the dial-in modems, we have come to 5G. So look at the exponential jump in the way communication technology has increased. So with this, information dissemination also increased. Now people anywhere in any corner of the world have access to all the information. But still, this information is still being held captive by a few organizations. Now, what happened was, these organizations are the same people who came up with the idea of artificial intelligence, because they want, now see, they have to keep innovating in order to remain relevant. If there is no innovation, you are no more relevant. People just forget about you. Look at what happened to Kodak. Kodak was one of the pioneers in photography, and their marketing lingo was they were in the business of memories. It is such a beautiful idea, business of memories. But then they lost their way. Kodak lost their way. Because there was no innovation. So now they have been taken over by the other companies. So Kodak is still there, but they are not that relevant in the photography industry as they were when they came out. So the point I'm trying to make here is, without innovation there is no relevance. So they thought, these big corporations thought, that if they develop something like artificial intelligence, they can keep innovating, and they started doing it. And then the consequence of this was the birth of social media. Not direct consequence, but one of the many indirect consequences was the birth of social media. If you remember the evolution of social media, it used to be Hotmail, right? And then email is there. Email will remain forever. Well, that's a topic of discussion for another video. So anyway, email is there, and now the social media has come up. Orkut. If you remember Orkut was bought by Google. It was like the precursor of what Facebook is now, and then Orkut just disappeared. It wasn't making enough money. At the end of the day, the bottom line is how much revenue is the corporation generating out of its product. If it's not making any money, then they just shelve it. Okay, so, and then Facebook and all these are different. So even if you look at the evolution of the social media, the written sort of social media got prominence first. Those chat rooms. Those chat rooms were the first form of social media, and then they came Orkut, where you could send images, not videos, or maybe was it well, we didn't have access to big video files at that point in time. So yeah, so I guess small snippets, clips, and then Facebook, and then these social media also started diverging or getting divided into their specific niche niche channels of communication. Instagram was only for photography, and Spotify was for music, and Snapchat was for those still photography and text and all that. So all these things have been evolving, and so now there came a stage where the information that was being generated, that was being put into the system, and that was being taken from the system, kept increasing exponentially. And there came a stage where the computation power had to be increased, and the big corporations increased the computation power. I am not an engineering graduate, so I may not be able to use the correct lingo here. I don't know the exact language. I am a paramedical student. I am a pharmacy graduate, so I am trying to put it in the best way that I can. So all these things increased, and now what happened was there was a great disruption that came into place suddenly, was that they realized that they could use artificial intelligence to take all this data and try to get some more information from the hidden data. So there was so much data that there was some data lying around all everywhere, and they had to make use of it or chuck it. And then when artificial intelligence, machine learning, where to put it very simply, they teach the machine or they feed the machine with a whole lot of data, and then the machine can try to predict what a human would do in a certain situation or in a certain circumstance, or if we put in a query, it will try to compute it and give us the most relevant information with respect to the context in which we are asking it. So that led to the evolution of AI. Everything is going smooth, and suddenly in December, well, not suddenly, in this has been going on for a long time. Suddenly in December 20 or in November 2022, ChatGPT lands. Okay, it's not that it just landed out of the sky. It has been in development, and they had a public release in November 2022. So if I can share the screen with you, it is just giving us a timeline of when this whole ChatGPT revolution started. Okay, so this was released for the public in the November of 2022, and just within 5 days it crossed 1 million subscribers. So like I had quoted the same example at the beginning of this discussion, compare that with Instagram. Instagram took 75 days to reach a subscriber base of 1 million subscribers. Spotify took 150 days. ChatGPT, if you look at the graph, you would think it is just another axis on the graph. It is a straight line. It starts from 0 and it shoots up to 1 million. It is not a gradual increase. It starts from 0 and it shoots up to 1 million. So if you would suddenly look at the graph, you would think that it is another axis line, but no, that is how popular it is. So what is ChatGPT? So to put it very, very simply, first I would like to read out the definition. ChatGPT is an artificial intelligence language model developed by OpenAI which is capable of generating human-like text based on the input it is given. The model is trained on a large corpus of text data and can generate responses to questions, summarize long tests, summarize long texts, write stories, and much more. It is often used in conversational AI applications to simulate a human-like conversation with users. And it was released to the public completely in December 2022. Okay, so, and since then there has been immense public interest in what is ChatGPT and what it can do. So what it can do, it can literally do anything with respect to content creation. And ChatGPT is basically a text generation AI app. There are other apps like Alethea.ai, Stable Diffusion, Sonantic, and in the writing industry, in the publishing industry, you may be aware of Grammarly, Pro Writing Aid, Hemingway Editor, the Reads Editor, and all that. So, Alethea is to do with simulating the complete human behavior. Stable Diffusion is to do with generating images based on textual input, and Sonantic, if I tell you what it is about, you'll be mind blown. Sonantic can recreate anyone's voice given a few tidbits of information. So Sonantic, well, I was listening to, I was viewing a YouTube video by Peter Diamandis, where he was interviewing Ahmad Mushtaq. He is the CEO and the founder of Stable Diffusion. So his sister-in-law, Rana, she established a company called Sonantic. And what Sonantic does is it can recreate anyone's voice with a few bits of information. So Sonantic is famous for recreating Val Kilmer's voice for Top Gun. Socho. You don't need the person anymore. Okay? And so, if you look at the use of AI, it is there in each and every facet of communication that you can think of. Written, visual, audio, so many things. Written, visual, and audio being three main categories. Okay, so now let's look at what is this to do with respect to the writing industry or the content creation industry. Content creation industry, well, there are other forms of content also, but I am going to stick to the written content. So what is this going to do to the writing industry? What is this going to do to the copywriting industry? What is this going to do to the whole publishing industry, the entire literature as we know? Okay? This is going to be the biggest shot in the arm for the literature industry, because now you have something which is going to be your second brain. Even though it is not human, it is when you are in doubt or when you are stuck with a continuous train of thought, and you can use these things like ChatGPT. You can use something called pseudo-write, which I use regularly, which is an awesome piece of AI technology, where it is an AI powered writing assistant, and if I put in any text, I have the option to rewrite it, rephrase it stylistically, and also grammatically correct. But so let me come to the but in a bit. So you have all these things. Pseudo-write. How it is going to help with the in writing content? there are a lot of people who are afraid that it would wipe out whole roles and designations, copywriters, editors, and all that. No, this is AI. This is artificial intelligence. The word itself is artificial. It's not human. It cannot understand emotions. Neither can it deploy emotionally viable dialogue. It may give you some dialogue, but when you look at it, you will say, अरे इसमें कुछ दम नहीं है यार, वो अपनापन नहीं है, that emotional connect नहीं है. Yeah, that is true because it is artificial. It is not human intelligence. I would like to call it arithmetic emotion as compared to chemical emotion. It is fed with some data sets. It is fed with a lot of literature, grammar rules, and all that. Okay, but it all depends upon the context in which you are trying to write, or you're trying to make a copy, or you're trying to edit. So it doesn't understand the human context of it. It does understand the data context of it, the arithmetic of it. So because we are emotional beings, there's a lot of chemical interplay happening in our bodies. All that hormonal pressure, oxytocin, dopamine, adrenaline, and all those things pulling us this way and that way. We are emotionally happy sometimes, emotionally sad sometimes, and all those things cannot be really captured by an artificial intelligence. So why are people afraid? People are afraid because the speed at which it can deliver. Yes, so if it is faster in delivering the data, it is that much good for us. We can throw chunks of data at it, and it will again regurgitate chunks of data back to us, and then we can sit and try to make emotional or human sense of it, and then publish it or write it, or then use it. And then there is another fear with respect to copyright issues, intellectual property, plagiarism, and all that. Yes, obviously, all the data that is being fed into the AI has not just appeared from thin air. It has been taken from the existing data. The data with respect to literature is existing books, existing works on literature, right from before the printing age till the most recent time. So that's why you shouldn't completely depend upon ChatGPT or on these AI models to create a piece of literature and then call it your own. There could be some sentences, there could be some phrases, there could be some words which are copyright, which have their own intellectual property IP patents on it. So you can use this to make sense of how you want to go ahead with your work, but using it completely to do all your work for you will eventually land you in trouble. Because even though they say they do a lot of plagiarism checks and all that, there is a limit because the amount of data is so much. So in the video that I was listening to, that I was watching yesterday by Ahmad Mushtaq, he talks about the clusters of computing, and the interviewer Peter Diamandis asks him, so what is the computing power that your company has with respect to, say, NASA? So he says we have a computing power of at least 100 times more than of NASA, because we have 4100 clusters of machines. So I don't know what a cluster is. So the reason I'm telling you all this is the amount of data that they have to make sense of is so much. So, and the data that is coming in can come in from your blog, because continuously our websites are being crawled and indexed by all the search engines. even though you see that you have blocked those so-called cookies and everything, in order for your website to be seen by everyone, you would need to give some permissions to the search engines. Okay, for your website or your blog to be visible to everyone, and for you to get the exposure, you need to give it some sort of concessions with respect to access to your data. So during that time, your website is getting crawled, it is getting indexed, and all the data is being stored somewhere. And so that is the data that these ChatGPT AI models, NLP models, natural language processing models, are using to generate the text that you are getting. So it is very difficult for somebody to say that, hey, you use this in this 30-page book, in the third page, in the fourth paragraph, in the fifth line, I see that there is a phrase that was written by me. Or they could say that, hey, in your book, in the third chapter, the first paragraph is an exact copy, almost a facsimile of what I wrote in my book. Why? Because the person, or in this case you, used these AI applications to just take the data as it is and then use it for your own purpose. It doesn't work that way. You need to use these as an aid. You cannot use this as the final solution to create your content. So with that being said, these will remain to be our second brains, or our helper, or our apprentice, or our assistant with respect to creation of content, but they will not and they cannot replace a novelist, a writer, a publisher, and an author, or a content creator, or a copywriter, or an editor. So in my courses that I am going to release in the last week of February, I am planning to do that between February 15th to February 27th. I will shortly be releasing the webinar schedule for that. Maybe tomorrow or day after. I am trying to figure out certain timings issues with respect to the people who are interested. Many people are interested for the weekend cohort, some people are interested for the early morning cohort, some people are interested for the afternoon cohorts during the weekdays. So if I have to accommodate everyone, then I will not get any sleep. So I will need to figure out how to do that, how to accommodate everyone. There's a lot of interest coming with respect to my program, where I am unabashedly, unashamedly going to use and teach people how to optimally use the new emerging AI technology to help write their books. I am also going to teach them the old and trusted, and I am also going to teach them the new and emerging. The old and trusted, you can never forget your roots, because the old and trusted is to do with the grammar, the style, the emotion, and how you have to have a unique writing voice. Every person has a unique writing voice, just like a singing voice. So you need to develop your own unique writing voice, and that is not possible. That is just impossible when AI. So why you would need, as a writer or an author, why you would need an AI is to give you aid in your thought process, not to replace your thought process. So I have developed a program called Self-Publishing Independence Mastery Program, in which I am going to help a person who wants to write, right from the writing of the manuscript to the editing, the formatting, the cover design, the marketing, the organic marketing and paid marketing, and how they can publish their work on different platforms, like Kindle, Barnes and Noble, Kobo, Scribd, Apple Books, and all that. So for that, I am actually very happy that ChatGPT has come when it has come, because it has made the turnaround time for a book to be published that much lesser. Obviously, there is a downside to it. Mediocrity in literature will increase now, because there will be many people who would want to make a quick buck by using ChatGPT and other such AI applications in order to create a sort of a piece of literature. But it is not literature, it is just I would say taking bits and pieces from there and putting it on paper and calling it literature. Because literature would involve, like I said, the writing voice. Every writer or an author has their unique style and all that, and grammar, punctuation, vocabulary. Well, yes, it depends upon the genre, or it could also depend upon the audience to whom the book is being pitched. But the final say is ChatGPT cannot replace any of the content creators with respect to writing. As long as we are still human, at least part of our brains is still human. Content writing with respect to the writing, with respect to literature, is still very much safe. So that's what I wanted to convey today. Coming back to the scheduling of my program, I will leave a Google form in the comments, and when I publish this to my page, please visit my private Facebook group, the Written Word Hub and Academy. You can find it at facebook.com/groups/Written Word Hub. It is a private community. I have kept it private because I want to cater to serious individuals who want to take a serious approach and a very dedicated, motivated approach to the creation of literature. So there are a couple of questions. You can fill in those questions, and then me and my group of moderators will check to see if you are a good fit. If you have answered those questions honestly, you are already a good fit. If you have shown interest and you have started filling that form, you are already a good fit. Because not everyone will be willing to answer some of the questions written there, and some of the questions will not make sense to somebody who is not into literature or reading or writing. So the questions have been framed in such a way. So you can fill that questionnaire when you visit the private Facebook group, which is again facebook.com/groups/Written Word Hub. I will leave the link also in the comments along with this video when it gets published on my page. Thank you a lot for your time, and I tried my best to make it very simple, very, very down to earth and easy to understand for people who are very new to this AI. Even I am new to this AI. It is a learning process, and this is just the beginning. If you look at that video on YouTube, go search for Peter Diamandis and Ahmad Mushtaq. Here they are talking about things where it is going to be a paradigm shift. Artificial intelligence is going to be a paradigm shift in the two most overburdened and overstressed sectors globally. One is education, and the other is healthcare. So it is going to change things drastically and for the good. Knowledge is going to be disseminated. It is going to be spread in such a fast way that it is simply unimaginable. There is going to be an exponential increase in the way people can access knowledge. Information is no longer just going to be some data. Information is going to be the infrastructure, the human infrastructure. And we will come to a stage where artificial intelligence will also help us creating something called the human OS, the human operating system. So all those Star Trek, Beam Me Up Scotty, and those, well, we already have those cell phones, right? So all those Beam Me Up Scotty, those holographic projections, even though the holographic projection is currently there, Facebook is just about to release it, where you can be at one place and you can have holographic projections of the people who are attending your meeting as though they are right there in the room. In fact, in my mentor's society, the Internet Lifestyle Hub by Siddharth Rajshekhar, we have something called the ILH Metaverse, where we 20,000 plus members of the society can go and interact on a virtual space called the ILH Metaverse. We can talk and we can exchange ideas. So I am here and my virtual self, or my virtual self, is representing myself in the ILH Metaverse. So that's something crazy, really mind-boggling. It just makes you just pause for a second and think, look at the amount of possibilities that this new age is bringing to us. And we are in the Indian context, we are very lucky to be in this age and in this time. You know why? Because India has the largest human capital. We have the largest population of young adults, 20 to 35 in the world, and all of them have some sort of access to internet. Okay, maybe through the cell phone, or maybe through the internet cafes, maybe through their workplace computers or their own personal computers, but there is some sort of access. Even in the smallest of the small villages and towns. But still, a lot has to be done. There are still a lot of villages without basic necessities like water and electricity and food and shelter. So I think this digital revolution is going to lead to something, an education revolution, where people don't have to wait for somebody to come and help them to build something or to create something. They can just download a file, or they can just download a video, watch it, learn it. They don't need to know the language. It is all visual, it is all visible to them, right? So they can use that to create whatever they want. So it's going to be an awesome next 10 years in India, and whoever is at the helm, the politics aside, the ideologies aside, the religions aside, everything, we are humans at the end of the day, and we have to make use of technology to find solutions. First, education. Second, healthcare. Most important, shelter, the basic necessities, shelter, food and water. So I went way out of tangent. I was talking about writing and literature and the use of AI, but I'm just saying all these things to bring to your notice about the importance of this. Okay, so there will be a lot of fear mongers who will say that AI is the end of humanity. No, that is there in all the Hollywood and the Bollywood and the Tollywood and the Mollywood and all the whatever movies. Okay, it will not come to that. It cannot come to that. There will always be somebody, or there will always be an organization or a group of people who will come and change it at the last moment, hopefully, but there will be change. So it's not going to be like we'll be living in a simulation like Matrix. Well, actually, that is very difficult to do, because at the core of everything we are human. Okay, so remember that, and let's welcome with open arms the artificial intelligence. Let's try to augment our memory, our human capabilities using artificial intelligence. Jai Hind. Bye.